I'm host Eric, and I'm here to say, welcome to the Bills Steelers pregame live stream. Now, if you know anything about anything, you know that in not a terribly long time, the Buffalo Bills will be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in a playoff game of American football. The best kind of football in the world. I just got done typing some lady, and I like referring to all of my clients as some lady or some guy. Anyway, this particular some lady was a challenge. She was a challenge and a half, but perhaps not quite as much of a challenge as picking the winner of the Bills Steelers game. So, what I'm going to do here for everybody is just a way of being a good person. This is just how I am. Is I'm going to put a poll up. A poll for this live stream. It asks a very simple but very important question. Who will win the Bills Steelers game? So, make a poll. Who will win? It's a yes or no question. Will the Buffalo Bills win today's game? Therefore, no equals the Steelers. Okay, we'll see what the vote says. And, this is a short stream. We've only got about an hour together before the football game starts, at which point it's going to be time to stop streaming and start footballing. But until then, why don't we make ourselves some lunch together as friends? You, me, and those other people. It smells like yeast. It smells a lot like yeast. It smells like yeast. It smells like yeast at least. It smells a lot like yeast at least. It's the best smell in life. If you love the smell of yeast, then love the smell of this kitchen right now. It's a yeasty potpourri of yeastiness. Oh, sure, you might call it a potpourri if you want to be all Parisian about it, Poll, 0 votes. There are 0 people interested in my poll. How sad for me. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat a couple Uncrustables as a snack that tide me over till I later on make, hamburgers or something. I could make hamburgers. I could make bratwursts. Those are good. That's a good meal. But I'm too hungry to wait till I fully cook food. I just got to eat a snack. It's better if you let these melt a little bit. Defrost, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, sure, I know that a lot of you probably don't care that much about the football game. Maybe you're neither fans of the Buffalo Bills nor the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I'm not a huge fan of either of those teams either, but I do like good playoff football, and I'm hoping that together, with their mutual combined efforts, the players of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills will, in fact, entertain me with a successful football game. I guess I should say successfully entertain me with a good football game. Certainly, it should be more entertaining than eating an Uncrustables in front of myself. As far as I can tell, I'm the only viewer here, so. Still, there wasn't anything I wanted to watch in particular as a means of killing time. I figured I'd just do this. My recent typing session was pretty entertaining, pretty interesting. You know, it's not like I love doing that activity, but I also don't hate it at all. And sometimes it's more entertaining than others. So it was pretty fun. You know, it's like any other work. The fact that it's work makes it inherently not fun, you know. The alternative to work is play. Something cannot both be work and play at the same time. It's just impossible. I mean, maybe if I were a rock star in a rock band, I could imagine that being play. Hi, Dallas. Let me get my glasses so I can see what you said. Anyways, other typologists have problem typing this lady too. Yeah, she said I could publish it. Now, I'm glad because I feel like I did a very good job. She was tough, but I think I got her cracked. Pleasant young lady. You know, college kid. So I asked her, but I'll ask the people here too as well. Namely Dallas. What do you think my omen means from this morning where I saw 2 giant June bugs? I came outside in the morning, turned the porch light on. There were 2 giant June bugs just out of nowhere up here and started flying around the light here. Keeping in mind that it was 26 degrees outside, it's January, there's snow on the ground, and there's no other bugs of any sort in any sight whatsoever. Where do these June bugs come from? What does that mean? Also, of the two June bugs, one of them flew away and the other one just had to walk away. Do you think Acacia is going to make Ruben walk home? Is that what you think it's symbolic of? Well, I'll have to inform them of the bad news when I see them next. They have been good house guests. They've been very effortless house guests. If anything, the house is cleaner because they're here. Ruben seems to do, or maybe Acacia, I don't know. I don't really see him doing it a lot, but they seem to do a fair amount of cleaning. So that's nice, you know. Acacia's been sick, so we really haven't seen her. But she hasn't gotten me sick, so that's fine. I don't care. Even if she had gotten me sick, it would be like, well, shit happens, you know. She's on kind of antibiotics. So, it was very pleasant yesterday watching the football game with Ruben and Rachel. Hi, Fly Guy. Fly Guy bets the sports team will win the sports ball. Yeah, well, I understand that, you know, long distance relationships are both difficult and not very affordable if you're trying to always meet up at a hotel. So I was kind of tripped out by those June bugs this morning. I kind of tried to shoo them away, and I felt bad about it. But I didn't step on them or anything, you know. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't shoo the omen bugs away. Shooing omen bugs away might be like failing to blow out all the candles on a birthday cake. It might cost you your wish. Don't shoo those almond bugs away. Don't shoo them away. Just keep those almond bugs today. Just keep them near you and say hey. I'm very curious to go look at my you might call my hope and a prayer mushroom patch. Well, Acacia and Ruben are enjoying the dubious privilege of a long distance romance. Which no doubt involves a fair amount of pining. So if you're fond of pining, you might want to consider starting your own long distance romance. I also think the Buffalo Bills will win today's game, but here's a quandary conundrum, and I have some of them, yes. Let me share you the link. I thought escape. I said escape, escape. I said escape. I said escape, escape. I said escape. So go ahead now and escape. I've been singing that song all morning because the kitchen smells like yeast. So, Daddy Freyer, this song is such a great song. I will share it with you. You may already know it because it's got 48 million views. It won the Eurovision Song Contest, apparently. Such a good song. I've been singing that a lot too, along with "It smells like yeast, like yeast. It smells like yeast. It smells like yeast, like yeast. And that's the beast. It smells like yeast, a lot like yeast. And it's the best smell in life. Because it does smell a lot like yeast in my kitchen right now from last night's yeasty enterprises. Namely, I did a full array of cooking last night. I cooked multiple little pizzas. And then after I was done cooking pizzas, with the leftover pizza dough, I made fried dough with sugar on it. Zeppelis, I think they're called. Zeppeli, something like that. Now, they weren't stunningly delicious, the fried dough, because obviously, if you're going to make fried dough with sugar on it, well, Acacia's not really hanging out because she's sick. But that's fine. That doesn't concern me. Um, sure. No problem. Bill will steal the ball. that's that's true. Probably Bill will steal the ball. Ah, Ceppolini, Lithuanian dumplings. Oh, I thought they were. Well, I don't have that big of a cutting board to roll out pizza dough onto, so I roll kind of squarish pizzas that are about the size of the cutting board at biggest, you know. Um, and then I made multiple iterations of it, one at a time, trying to get it perfect. They were all delicious, frankly. So, anyway, the fried dough wasn't as good as yesterday. I was talking to a chicken whose lover got like maybe years in prison, so it could be worse. Well, yeah. If you were talking to a chicken, well, definitely things could be worse. You know, that's a pretty special moment when you get to talk to a chicken. Normally they don't, they're not that talkative, but I have to admit, I enjoyed having a chicken when we had chickens. I enjoyed having Officer Red anyway. She was a good chicken. And she liked to go worming with me. I had this compost pile in Laverne, and I ordered worms from the internet and put a bunch of worms in there. And then periodically I'd go and dig around the compost pile and pull out worms for the chickens. And she'd come and eat it. It was fun. But I don't want chickens again. you know, I've been reading some, and it looks like Jung says the first two functions share the same attitude. The idea of an alternating function stack takes from Myers-Briggs in a translation error. Well, I mean, the idea of an alternating function stack, I don't know where it stems from, but it's the correct interpretation of it. Jung made a lot of mistakes. There's no reason to consider him an authority on the matter. He just intuited the significant matter. This is a pregame show, okay? There's a poll even that asks who will win the game. And my position on it is the Bills will win the game. Now, sure, you might point out that receiver Gabi Davis is on the injured list. Will that negatively impact the Bills' chances? Gabi Davis was a very reliable second or third receiver for the Bills all season long. What about the impact of the snow in the stands? Will it prevent? Yeah, Officer Red was great. Will it prevent? Will it prevent the Bills from enjoying a true home field advantage because there's too much snow on the seats so that people can't sit down and watch the football game? Maybe. Yes, that's his name. Gabi Davis. So, of course, it's also the case that the Steelers are down an important player in linebacker T.J. Watt, also on the injured reserve list. Will those two injuries cancel each other out, resulting in the same thing it would have been with both of them in the game? Maybe. Maybe. Now, I think that I am not the only person in the world who was a little shocked by the Cowboys' complete collapse yesterday against the Green Bay Packers. What happened? Well, I have to say, I was very pleased and impressed with the Rams jerseys yesterday. I thought they looked really classy. They didn't go with the new trend of like asymmetrical bullshit on your uniforms, you know. It was classic, symmetrical, blue and yellow and white. Now, that didn't win them the game, obviously. Detroit won by a single point. And why? What did it boil down to at the end of the game? I mean, it was way early in the game that it happened, but this is what it boiled down to. The Rams were going to go for two, and then they got a penalty, so they had to kick the extra point. And that was the difference in the game. 1 point. Best game of the Saturday-Sunday lot. I'm hoping today we'll get an even better game in the Bills-Steelers, and then the best game of all in Tampa Bay versus Philadelphia. Just to have a climactic end to Super Wild Card Weekend, which, admittedly, you have to admit, is one of the best weekends in sports. especially this year with 2-2-2. That's 6 whole football games, 2 per day for 3 days in a row. That's a high quality serving of playoff football. Now, granted, the games haven't been great so far. Well, I mean, I've taken exception with the term unconscious before, but I've also defined it meaningfully. So the thing is, we can look at a whole history of mistakes made by a huge variety of people regarding union cognitive functions. The the takeaway is Eric's correctly articulated how it goes, taking the correct things from people who've made corrections in the past and discarding the incorrect things. Yeah, it's really super. Um, I think the Steelers are in for a tough time of it today, but I will also say that the weather could potentially be an equalizing factor. There's predictions of some snow flurries potentially for the afternoon, and both the Steelers and the Bills are like cold weather teams. If neither of them can do much in the passing game because of, let's say, swirling winds or something, well, I still think the Bills are likely to win. They've got a good defense, and they don't have the most dynamic offense in the world, but you know, their quarterback can run pretty well. I expect you're gonna see some big like, oh, it's 2nd and 4. Bills quarterback drops back to pass. Linebackers for the Steelers drop back into coverage. And then, pew! He runs right up the middle for 15 yards. That's what I envision seeing today in the Buffalo Bills Pittsburgh Steelers game. Josh Allen, is that his name? Tearing off some big runs. And the Steelers looking frustrated over on the sidelines. They can't get anything going offensively. They finally get one big play. It's like a 60-yard pass, but then they fumble. And the receiver fumbles before he gets to the end zone. You predicted every game incorrectly so far except for the Chiefs. I predicted every game incorrectly so far except for... Did I get them all wrong? No, I got Detroit right. I got Detroit right. Rachel's 2-2. Eric, did you know monad is an energy consciousness? I don't know what monad is. Is it somebody who's got only one large testicle? Instead of having gonads, they've got a monad. And the important thing to remember is that Jung is not some sort of Bible about cognitive functions. He's a guy who intuited the basic concept, which was the most significant work to be done. But he was just an INFJ. He's not going to. He can do the intuition part, but he can't do all the modeling stuff, right? That's not his job. He's just an INFJ. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean he's just an INFJ. I meant he's an INFJ. He's not an INTP. He's not an ENTP. and he's not Eric, right? So I couldn't come up with the genius notion, maybe, but I can figure out how to make it work. Because the thing is, what it means to make it work is to start with the right frame of reference. What are we doing? We are modeling human consciousness, a dynamic system of individual human beings expressing their being across time via attention. That's what we are doing. This is the sort of work that Jung didn't do, and that's fine. He was functioning as a psychologist, armchair philosopher, or whatever, not a rigorous intellect, and that's fine. Not everything has to be rigorously intellectual, but cognitive functions properly rendered does. So Jung did his job, I'll do my job, and we'll all reach Christmas together. Yeah, I know he's wrong about his own type. Yeah, hockey is a hard. I made a video about that plug if you'd like to watch it. Like all INFJs, Jung had a poor understanding of who he himself was. How can people of the same type express the same functions differently? Do you think about that, Eric? Well, they don't really express the same functions that differently as far as from a testing perspective. Like this lady I just typed this morning, she uh, she her affect was not consistent with her type, but her type was consistent with her type. When you look at all the test results, it's pretty evident what type she has to be. But if you're trying to use your intuition to type people, then you're going to get disparate results, right? Now, you might say, then, isn't this just sort of circular justification? Well, no, because the typing approach makes and validates predictions successfully over the long haul. I may not have the data processed to establish that to somebody else's satisfaction, but I certainly have the data sufficient to my own satisfaction because I have access to experiential, all the experience I have. I have a lot of experience typing people. So I've gotten to see that, in fact, like, if somebody's TE polar, you're going to discover that, you know, they've they've got a certain relationship with knowing versus say action. It's consistent across hundreds of examples. It's from my perspective, it's as settled as a thing can be. But is auxiliary the second function? Right. Well, the point is to remember that the idea of alternating attitudes, it's called, introversion, extroversion, and slots and stuff, is a way to model something that's fundamentally more dynamic than that. So it's like, yeah, you can't be extroverted intuition and then extroverted feeling. But it's more like to be extroverted intuition, you must have a corresponding deliberation function because the action deliberation relationship is a package deal. Okay, so hi Lou, how are you? Would you like to smell my poo? Hi Lou, how are you? Would you like to smell my poo? Oh yeah. Well, you're not going to be able to smell it because you're too far away. And I know you've got a strong ability to snort, but not that strong. So, uh, well, it's crazy. Show media this morning. Apparently, he told me these crazy people who he bought the Mad Magazine game from, and who acknowledge that the envelope that has this sticker they put on it is their sticker, refuse to acknowledge that they didn't send me the game and that they sent me this passport stuff instead. I couldn't believe it when I heard this. Like, I sent show media pictures of pictures of the passport stuff and everything, and they denied knowing anything about it. What kind of crazy nonsense is that? So apparently, in fact, these horrible people, got show media banned from eBay somehow, even though he clearly didn't do anything wrong. Well, here, Lamb, the group of ISFPs on Reddit includes shit tons of people who are not ISFPs. I guarantee you, right? People don't type themselves correctly. You can't rely on anybody's reporting of their own type. A message board of ISFPs talking to each other is just like, hi, 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 hello. Well, he's taking it up with PayPal. So, I know, yeah, it sucks. He's trying to do something nice and it just blows up in his face, you know? Show Media was in here earlier flirting with KE. Well, you know how it goes. Uh, yeah. Yeah, people do talk more online. By your own measurements, you have a really big poll. Well, congratulations. Our ISTPs just posts from other types asking questions to ISTPs and getting 3-word answers. Yeah. So, only 15 minutes to go until the football game. Show Media got in trouble with eBay or something. When he comes around next, you can ask him in more detail about it if you're curious. Yeah, I did have a pretty big poll at the start of this live chat. And it looks like the Bills are going to win this poll. We'll end it at just shortly before we end the stream. So if there are any Steelers fans out there who want to vote in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers, now's your chance. Currently, the Buffalo Bills are favored by a score of 78% to 22%. So, I don't know, maybe some more of you could factor in the fact that it's going to be very weathery out today. Going to be a lot of weather in Buffalo. It's going to be the kind of weather that makes you scream and grab a blanket. That's if you're cold phobic, like me. When I encounter any cold in the world, I scream and grab a blanket. So, it could be that those omen bugs really represent the two football games today. The two omen bugs that I saw earlier. They could represent that, you know, in one of the games, the winning team will win by having an air attack, throwing the ball a lot. Whereas in the other game, the winning team will win by running the ball a lot. Just as the two bugs left, one of them flew away and one of them walked away. Wow. That's surprising to hear, Dallas. Wow, I gotta check it out. That's weird. I'm glad they got in trouble for it. I'm surprised eBay even still exists. You know, Ruben found a Tiffany doll for me, a new, clean looking one. It was on Poshmark. And sometimes you find stuff like that on Etsy as well. But eBay, it seems like so 1999. Dead inside. ENTJs are wonderful people, but they're totally dead inside. That is kind of a big accusation, Heroin. Are they alive outside? These are my two magical half dollars. Rachel deemed them such magical half dollars. They feel kind of magical, right? They're nice big coins. I like silver dollars even more. I wish they were still made out of actual silver. They have to be probably smaller than a dollar size, though. Here's a link to the eBay thing. eBay to pay $3 million in connection with corporate cyberstalking campaign targeting Massachusetts couple. eBay was charged criminally with 2 counts of stalking through interstate travel, 2 counts of electronic communication, stalking through electronic communication services, 1 count of witness tampering, and 1 count of obstruction of justice, and has entered into a deferred prosecution agreement. Pursuant to the agreement, eBay admitted to a detailed recitation of all the relevant facts about its conduct and agreed to pay a criminal penalty of $3 million, which is the statutory maximum fine for these 6 felony offenses. As part of this resolution, eBay will also be required to retain an independent corporate compliance monitor for a period of 3 years and make extensive enhancements to its compliance program. eBay engaged in absolutely horrific criminal conduct. The company's employees and contractors involved in this campaign put the victims through pure hell in a petrifying campaign aimed at silencing their reporting and protecting the eBay brand, said Acting United States Attorney Joshua S. Levy. We left no stone unturned in our mission to uphold accountable every individual who turned the victim's world upside down through a never-ending nightmare of menacing and criminal acts. The investigator led to felony convictions for 7 individuals, all former eBay employees or contractors, and the ringleader was sentenced to 57 months in federal prison. Oh, wow. They sent the victims a book on surviving the death of a spouse, a bloody pig mask, a fetal pig, and a funeral wreath and live insects, sending private Twitter messages and public tweets criticizing the newsletter's content and threatening to visit the victims in the tick and traveling to Natick to surveil the victims and install a GPS tracking device on their car. The harassment also featured Craigslist posts inviting the public for sexual encounters at the victim's home. Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. What the fuck were these people thinking? Wow. Wow. That is crazy. I am very impressed with with the scope of that insanity. Because they didn't like they didn't like what their eBay newsletter was saying. Wow. That's crazy. Well, I have to admit this. eBay is way more crazy even than Michelle Shocked by a substantial margin. Like Michelle Shocked wanted to silence me, no doubt about that. But she went about it in such a dramatically sane way compared to eBay. I have to reassess my opinion about her. She's not that crazy at all, really. There was nothing that crazy about what she did at all. Now that I think about it. Yeah, eBay, that's a business that knows how to throw down. Michelle Shock needs to step up her game dramatically. I received fetal nothing in the mail. Just got served papers. Michelle Shock, that's not how you silence somebody. You gotta send him a bloody pig mask and a book on surviving a spouse's death. I mean, that's as close to a death threat as you could possibly get without explicitly making a death threat, right? Oh my God. That's just insane. That is absolutely nuts. You have to pound your scepter and shout silence. I mean, wow. Like, what in the world made eBay thought that they were going to get away with that? There's leaving too much evidence, right? These people are dummies. I mean, that sort of shit wouldn't silence me. It would make me freak out and rant about it continually online. Probably eventually it would cause me to go to the police, which is, I'm sure, what these people did. And what do you think the police are going to do? They're going to be like, okay, that's, that's, that qualifies as a death threat. Let's deal with these fucking people. Who are they? And they realize it's eBay. What? It's eBay who's doing this to you? wonder if eBay bought the fetal pig from eBay. I bet eBay bought the book on surviving the death of a spouse from Amazon. That's what I bet. That's a fact I want to know about this case. Did eBay buy the book on surviving the death of a spouse on Amazon? That would be a better poll. I bet that would get 100% yes. You're gonna get a much better deal for it on Amazon for sure. They have a whole warehouse full of intimidation paraphernalia, like severed horses' heads and stuff. Hmm. They're like the Scientologist kind of. eBay is like, look how well this worked for Scientology. We gotta try that as well. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. eBay sending people a bloody pig mask. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Bravo. Bravo, eBay. What's Etsy gonna send me if I start critiquing Etsy? Like a crocheted picture of Rachel dead or something. Oh, eBay. You win today's prize for most ridiculous thing ever. There's a new prize every day. So the ever is kind of hyperbole, let's say. Etsy calls up Muriel to crochet some violent scene for me when I critique them. Okay, well, it's time for the football game. So that means it's time to end this poll. And we will know by the end of it, not just who's going to win, but also what the score is going to be. So it's going to be a 7-3 ratio. It could be 21-9. It could be 28-12. But it's going to be a 7-3 ratio. That's the final score. Keep that in mind when you're watching the game today. Have a good one. It could be 69-30, but I think it's just going to be basically a 7-3 ratio. Who's the 1% who didn't vote? Which one of you didn't vote all of your percentages? Did multiple of you vote partial percentages? Is that what happened? Anyway, I'll see you all later. Goodbye. Thanks for being here.